The title of my poster is Neural Oscillations as Predictors of Variability in Second Language Learning. So to start with a brief introduction, second language learning is a cognitively demanding endeavor with a large amount of variability in learning outcomes. This variability can be understood in terms of neurocognitive factors, such as measurements of oscillatory brain activity from the scalp, otherwise known as quantitative EEG. As suggested by findings of prior psycholinguistic research, QEEG may provide additional insights into the underlying mechanisms associated with variability in L2 developmental trajectories and outcomes. However, most psycholinguistic studies have measured QEEG while participants have performed a task. Moving beyond this paradigm, Pratt and colleagues found that resting state EEG, which is brain activity occurring in the absence of any external task or stimuli, may be predictive of L2 learning ability. Specifically, their study suggested that power, which describes the amplitude of oscillations in the beta and gamma regions, and coherence, which describes oscillation synchrony in left hemispheric regions, were predictive of their L2 learning measures. Our study conceptually replicates and extends Pratt and colleagues' study, asking whether resting state QEEG is also predictive of performance on two outcomes of Spanish language proficiency, which leads to our two research questions. The first of which was, does mean spectral power calculated from resting state QEEG data predict L2 proficiency as assessed by two Spanish proficiency tasks? And the second of which was, does within and between network coherence and resting state QEEG data predict L2 proficiency, again as assessed by two Spanish proficiency tasks? On to the methods. Our analysis included 50 low to intermediate second language learners recruited from 3rd to 4th semesters university Spanish courses, all of whom reported being native speakers of English. To measure Spanish proficiency, we utilized two language proficiency measures, a grammaticality judgment test, or GJT, which utilized grammatical structures that speakers were familiar with from class, and the DELE, which assessed general Spanish proficiency. For our procedure, 5 minutes of closed-eye resting state EEG data was collected using a 32-electrode EEG cap before participants performed any task. After collecting this data, participants then completed the two proficiency measures. After pre-processing and cleaning the data of artifacts in MATLAB, the two QEEG measures of interest, which were mean power and coherence, were extracted in R over 4 frequency regions: theta, alpha, beta, and gamma. This was done for our 6 defined neural networks, which are represented in the third figure below. For the analysis of our research questions, we conducted correlation analyses between the QEEG measures of interest and our proficiency measures. Following this, significant correlations were entered as predictors into 2 separate regression analyses for both proficiency measures. Regarding our results, here's a violin plot showing participant performance on the GJT. The average G-score was 0.9 out of about 4.8. For our power correlations, we found one significant negative correlation with GJT performance and gamma power in the right hemispheric posterior occipital network. For our coherence correlations, none of our correlations reached statistical significance. This scatter plot displays the negative correlation found with gamma, which was entered as the sole predictor in our regression model for the GJT. With the regression analysis, we found that the model explained 27% of the variance in scores. Additionally, gamma power and right hemispheric posterior occipital independently predicted GJT performance. Here we have a violin plot showing participant performance on the DELE. The average score was 19 out of 50. For our power correlations, we found one significant correlation with DELE performance and gamma power in the right hemispheric posterior occipital network. For our coherence correlations, we found one positive correlation with DELE performance and theta coherence within medial frontal. These scatter plots display the negative correlation found with gamma and the positive correlation found with theta, which were both entered as predictors in our regression model for the DELE. With the regression analysis, we found that the model explained 25% of the variance in scores. Additionally, gamma power and right hemispheric posterior occipital independently predicted DELE performance. To summarize our results, regarding our first research question, we found that mean resting state gamma power in the right hemispheric posterior occipital network was predictive of Spanish L2 proficiency for both the GJT and the DELE, such that higher gamma power was associated with lower Spanish proficiency. Regarding our second research question, we found that theta coherence in the medial frontal network was predictive of Spanish L2 proficiency for the DELE, but not the GJT. Comparing our findings to Pratt and colleagues, we conceptually replicated their findings that resting state QEEG measures can account for variance in L2. We also extended their 2019 findings of a negative relationship between gamma power and our L2 proficiency measures. However, because the direction of our correlation differs from Pratt et al.'s 2016 findings, this may suggest that relationships depend on the specific L2 measure used. Together, the negative association with gamma power, which has been tied to bottom-up processes, and the positive association with theta coherence, which has been tied to working memory, may indicate that abilities associated with top-down processing account for variability in L2 proficiency in low to intermediate learners. Although further research is needed to validate our QEEG measures relation with L2 proficiency, this study adds to the growing literature on resting state oscillations as an informative window into individual variation in learning. Thank you.